Hi, I'm Pete Seligman, Managing Director of SRO Technology. I'm excited to present our new podcast, Measure Up, brought to you by our team to talk about their favourite topic, industrial measurement. We're working hard this year to bring the Ramsey product range back to the market. Ramsey's been around for a long time, longer than SRO and a lot longer than any of us. And so we're proud to be the custodians of this great brand for the next phase of its journey. And what better way to bring you along for the ride than to give you a behind-the-scenes look via this season of our new podcast. Let's go and have a look. In this episode, I speak to Jeff Morton. He's our head of sales in the Ramsey team. Jeff's been with SRO Technology for a couple of years now, but his experience with the Ramsey product range dates back over 2 decades. And that experience is of great value to us internally, but also importantly to our customer base now globally. And his relationships with mine sites across the planet and also with people who have been interacting with the Ramsey range for a long time helps us to make sure that we're taking this product range in the right direction and prioritizing things in the right way so that it can be most impactful to our customer base. So today when I sit down with Jeff, I'm going to learn a little bit about his experience with Ramsey over the last 20 or so years and a little bit about what he's excited for with the things to come in the Ramsey product range over the next 6 months. Well, we're going to start this off pretty casually, Jeff. Just have a conversation about how we're going with this Ramsey product range and bringing it back to the market. But before we dive into kind of present day and what we've got planned for the next few months, be good to kind of go back in time a bit. You know, you've been with SRO Technology for a little while now, but actually your experience with Ramsey and that product range predates that by a little while. So why don't we start by telling us a little bit about your experience with the Ramsey product range? Like when was your first interaction with Ramsey? And just talk us through that.
So nearly 20 years ago, a company called Thermo Electron bought the rights for Ramsey Technologies. And I started with Thermo Electron probably 1 month after they had bought it. And they moved some of the manufacturing into Adelaide. And I was in charge of manufacturing Ramsey products in the Adelaide factory 20 years ago. That's where I first got my entry into Ramsey products.
Wow! I just finished recording an episode with Kayla, who's kind of talking about her experience in trying to kind of take on that range of IP, establish supply chain, go through manufacturing. So effectively, the experiences she's going through today is the experience that effectively you went through 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Immediately after Thermo just bought the IP. Yeah.
And it was all learning how to manufacture, how to reassemble, how to get things up and running smoothly. And it was chaos, but great fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And what do you think, what are the differences and similarities between that experience you had 20 years ago, kind of establishing new supply chains and doing all that sort of stuff, compared to what we're experiencing today?
I think one of the best differences today is some of the team who are working on it are really well experienced instrumentation people. So I think there's a phrase we use. We design instruments for instrument people.
Yeah, by technicians for technicians.
By technicians for technicians.
Yeah.
So what that means is I think our team is playing with this product really well and making it better and better and better, way quicker than what we were doing 20 years ago.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, and I guess that's what we were hoping would happen when we kind of put those two parts together, you know, the long experience that our team and the SRO business has had with Ramsey products in the field, like effectively as a customer and user of the product. And how do we kind of combine that now with the ability to have our hands directly in the pie with the product and see if we can kind of use that to improve it. So it's good that that's hitting the ground.
Yeah. And 20 years ago, we lost a lot of key people. This time, when SRO actually bought the rights for Ramsey, they've actually worked really hard and really quickly to gain some of those key people. So there's almost 100 years of combined IP just from people that we've managed to grasp and keep hold of And that's certainly making the life a lot easier for me in sales.
And so your first interaction 20 years ago, like what's been kind of your pathway kind of in and out of kind of the Ramsey family over that last 20 years? Like what are the different roles that you've played in relation to the Ramsey product during that time?
So my earliest background at the age of 15, as I started as a fitter and turner working in maintenance, so pulling things apart, building up things. And then I went into engineering sales. When I moved back to Adelaide from Sydney, I really wanted to hide. So I actually got a job in the factory building the Ramsey equipment, and I stayed very, very quiet. I was only there for about 3 months, and someone realized I was actually good at sales.
So you couldn't stay quiet for long enough?
I couldn't stay quiet long enough. So then they put me in charge of the factory. And then a month, probably a year after that, they actually put me back in sales, which is really good because I kind of like that. I tried very hard to stay under the radar, but I didn't succeed.
Yeah, right. And so, I mean, that's definitely the role that you've been playing with SRO for the last couple of years in that sales role. How have you found, like before we get to kind of the addition of the Ramsey range to the mix, kind of how have you found the last couple of years in working with the SRO team, kind of servicing customers and selling for customers, but both in Australia and also beyond?
Yeah, it's actually been a lot of fun. And bearing in mind my previous trade, right? So Thermo went down a track of they just build stock standard products. They really didn't want to deviate left or right. But the problem we got is that our customers have got a broad range of applications. They got a broad range of equipment, and they really needed a supplier who could sell and fit equipment to suit their. And Thermo just did not want to do that. So one of the joys about being with SRO again now is we can build things to suit the customer. And the customer doesn't mind paying for that. We build very, very big, very, very small, very heavy duty, unbelievably heavy duty, and some light duty. And we're in a position now where we can be flexible and help the customer. And for me, that just ticks a box because I'm back in a zone where I'm working with customers and I'm helping customers. I'm not telling customers, sorry, we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Which for me was I hated that.
Yeah.
And now I'm back having fun. Customers like working with me. I like working with customers. So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
It's good fun.
And so now, obviously over the last couple of years, everyone in the marketplace was noticing that supply chain of the Ramsey products was getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Lead times were running out and out and out. And so, the writing was on the wall that Thermo were going to scale back their attention to that product range, and effectively discontinued it almost 18 months ago now. And then, we kind of worked hard to try and make sure that we could keep it in market and was successful earlier this year. What have been the things that have stood out to you in the last 6 months? Probably not from an internal point of view, like more your interactions with the marketplace around the fact that now it looks like Ramsey's coming back. We've got our hands on it. We're now in a position where we can start to rebuild those supply chains. Like, what's the market response been?
It's been it's been interesting, right? So I've been in this business for 20 years now, and in 20 years you build lots and lots of contacts, and the nanosecond that the Ramsey product was discontinued by Thermo, I started getting phone calls from the customer base, and they're going, Jeff, what the hell? What's going on? And this is not Australia. This is global. I'm getting customers globally, and it was interesting that when SRO took me on, and about 3 months later, we actually acquired the rights for the Ramsey, and we put one LinkedIn message, and my life went hell after that. Peru, Brazil, Indonesia, Argentina, Chile, Taiwan, China, every country in the world just started hammering me through LinkedIn and WhatsApp and email, just going, Jeff, we want to start buying that. And I felt like it felt like Gandalf saying, "None shall pass." Just hold the line while we just get all the supply running. And it's been a bit daunting because Thermo Ramsey had this sales group globally, And 3 times I actually managed to get top salesperson globally. So it's been really nice having these customers chase me and say, can we start buying? And we're now almost at a place where we're saying, at this line, you can start buying, this line, you can start buying, this line, just hold on, we're getting there. So it's been a challenge.
I got to say, like I'm involved with a few different businesses, and it's quite an unusual situation to be having a discussion with your sales team to tell them that they actually need to try to work out how to say no more than saying yes. And it's really hard to have customers out there with problems that they need solved that you can solve if you have the right product in your hands, and you know that you're right at the precipice of getting that product in your hands, but you've still got to say no, you've got to wait longer. Like, how have you and your team dealt with that? Because it's hard, right? Like, it's annoying, frustrating, difficult to have those conversations,
So I've been in sales. I've been in engineering sales for nearly 40 years. I've never had to slow down. I don't know how to slow down, but I can see why we're doing that, because we're trying to build a foundation that can just change the world, And to be fair, I've never had a chance to work in a business where I'm right at the startup of a new business, and I can see why we need to just go a bit slow and steady to build the foundations. And if I can just learn that and be patient, I think in 2, 3, 4, 5 years' time, we're actually going to change the world, which for me is more exciting than the pain I'm experiencing at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's not easy.
No, it's not. It's not easy. And for like when I speak to any part of our business, and it can sound trite, but like honestly, all of our guys across every single function, whether or not they're on the production floor, in the back office, a technician in the field, like all of them genuinely want to solve customer problems. And so if you're in a situation where, for whatever reason, we don't have access to the particular product that we need in order to solve the problem, it actually is a really challenging conversation. But it is, I feel like there is now, even more so than 3 months ago, there's even more of a light at the end of the tunnel in terms of getting some of those things back online.
It's challenging because you got this weird emotional thing. You got one side where you feel like a complete failure because you're just not helping quick enough, and you got the other side where you're just looking at the figures coming in and you're staggered at how much you're selling, and you got this dichotomy that's just driving you insane. So
what do you think, based on all of the kind of network and relationships you've got globally, where do you see the biggest pressure points in terms of the Ramsey range? Like, what do you think are the products that are kind of highest in demand, and how we're kind of trying to prioritize those ones?
The biggest input at the moment is from the Americas, from Chile and Peru. Australia, we're covering really, really well. Australia's a really great mining zone. We've got 350 odd operating mines in Australia. Peru, they got about 180 operating mines, and they're exactly the same as Australia. So they're not third world by any means. This is where Rio is and BHP is, and some of these really big players. So very safe, very fast. They want, and our opposition are in there trying to win. But Ramsey's got this massive broad base over there. So some of the challenges is they're trying to get information quick. They're trying to buy product quick. We're trying to work out how to deal with the language, because I'm English. I don't speak Portuguese or Spanish. And these guys and we're trying to work out how to interpret. So there are all those sort of challenges that we've got to face. So that's South America. Brazil, wow, and Brazil is going gangbusters. We used to always say a thing called BRIC, so Brazil, Russia, India, China. So there's a lot of customers out there trying to buy as quick as they can, and we're just saying, just hold on, we'll get there.
And, three of the products that often come to mind is obviously the belt scale range, the TMD range, and then the Proline range. Of those three, where do you see the most kind of demand side pressure?
When you say pressure, the biggest pressure at the moment, I think, is in the trap metal detectors. only because we're just now getting ready to re-release, because we've now just about got the supply chain up and running. And that was one area where the previous owner of Ramsey just completely shut down that whole supply chain and weren't that particularly helpful about getting it up and running again. And our team now have almost got it to the point where we're now, when we press that button, we're going to be selling maybe 400 a year.
It'll be a good release valve, won't it, to be able to get that back up
It's
again.
going to be like a volcano.
Yeah, because it is quite a unique product.
And it's the only product. When Thermo discontinued, we actually, here in the factory, we tried 4 different brands. We tried one, and I won't say the brand names, but we tried one that was manufactured for America in Wales. We tried one for France, and these are all products that work in certain areas, but none of them work in all the areas. So the Autronic, for example, works in coal, it works in copper, it works in hematite, it works in magnetite. Nobody else does that. You can have one product for this and one product for that, but the Autronic does the whole lot. So the nanosecond we say we're ready to go, holy smoke, that's just going to go.
And also, like we were saying before, to give you the opportunity to start saying more yeses and less nos, right? Which is going to be a good thing.
That'll be a good thing.
Yeah. And what about other parts of the range at the moment that you're working on, maybe even kind of down the smaller end, the small kind of Proline parts and pieces like that? Like, what's been your understanding of kind of demand globally for that, and where you're seeing pressure?
So in Australia, the Proline wasn't as strong. It was mainly in the tool switch range. But in America and Europe and the Americas, Proline was huge. Those safety pull switches, those tool switches, the mercury tool switches, the non-mercury tool switches, the customer base, they were buying nearly 10, 15 million US per year, and this is not a engineered product. This is a off the shelf pick and pack. And again, we've almost got all those back up and running again. Once we get those up and running and we get the distributorship working globally, so people don't have to ship from Australia, they can ship globally. Oh man,
that'll be good. Yeah. I was speaking to Kayla earlier, and we were saying, it feels like it's been a lifetime, but it's actually only been 6 months, right? And by the time we get to Christmas, it'll be 9 months. And by the time we get to kind of March next year, where a lot of these things will have changed because we've broken the back of a lot of these problems, we'll be in a much more.
It's amazing how much we've done in 6 months.
Yeah, and I think that progress has been super good. What's your changing tack a little bit, like back to kind of the Ramsey network? There's lots of people globally that have history with Ramsey. And some of the kind of contacts that we've had and some of the people that have reached out from all sorts of markets, they've actually come back almost excited for the legacy of Ramsey, even more so than the product of it. Like, what's been your experience in kind of almost reigniting some of those relationships that might have gone cold over the last few years, speaking to old friends that you used to work with kind of 10 years ago? Like, how have you had that experience in terms of more the legacy of the brand rather than the products in the brand?
So if I use that word legacy, that's kind of good, because then I've got to look left. I've got to look back, not to the future. And one of the things that Ramsey manufactured that was brilliant globally was the Microtech range of equipment that we put with our belt scales. Now, a belt scale is a belt scale, but the electronics was just second to none. And I'm having customers globally ringing saying, can we still buy this Microtech product? Now, that was something that during COVID, Thermo discontinued because they couldn't get the chips, they couldn't get the semiconductors, blah, blah, blah. But our team here, and one of them, Matt Rosen, has gone all the way back to work out how to reinstate that and get it back into production. Because in America, in Europe, in South America, even in Australia, we've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of customers who, even though they like where we're heading, they've still got lots of this product on site. So they want to buy spares for it. They want to keep buying products for that. So, it's been nice hearing that from the customer base. It's even been nicer hearing that we can actually manufacture that and get it back into production so the customer base can still use that while we go into developing our Flex into even a greater future. So there's a whole lot of good things happening.
It's nice being able to have our hand on the wheel about what happens with that roadmap, right? To be able to say, actually, we're hearing from customers, that product that was discontinued, they actually want. We're now in a position where we can make that decision, where we can actually say, we've listened to the customer, they want the Microtech.
Yeah.
So let's provide it, right? Like it's a nice position to be in, to have both the direct contact with the customer via our technician base so that we can learn firsthand, but also have that ability in our kind of R&D and our product development to then go back and actually build out stuff that they want.
Because people forget that the Microtech came out in the 1990s, and we had the Microtech 2000, then the Microtech 3000. There are still 2000s in operation. Then we had the 3000. There's still lots of 3000 operation. Then we had the 9000. And then, that platform looked after static. It looked after dynamic. It looked after loss in weight. It looked after wave feeders. It looked after impact waves. It was just this broad range that was brilliant. So the fact that we can still now bring it back for that customer base while we're still developing the future, for me, is really exciting.
Yeah. Fantastic. So now just looking a bit to the right, as you said, but not too far to the right, because it's hard to predict what's going to happen in the long term. But over the next 6 months, what are the things that you're looking forward to most? What's, if you put yourself in your kind of March shoes next year, what's something that you're looking forward to in relation to?
I'm really excited about the Ramsey Flex controls integrators for one reason. All the Microtechs, all before, did a really good job at weighing. It did a good job at collating information. One of the things that I like about the Ramsey Flex is it's going to put us into a market where we can do predictive maintenance. Now a site can be sitting in an office 40,000 miles away. They can have a belt scale with a Ramsey Flex, and in that office, they can actually see all 4, all 6, all 1, all 2 of their load cells, and they can see when one is starting to fail. And now they can send an email or ring up, say, hey, that belt scale is about to go. Can you repair it in the next couple of weeks? So all of a sudden, we're in this predictive maintenance. We're not in a reactive maintenance. Now, we haven't been able to do that before, and we can now. And I actually think that's part of where the future is going to be. And we're right at the forefront of that. That's really exciting. And no one else is doing that.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time, Jeff. It was good to have you on. You did a great job. Appreciate it. And really excited to continue to build out that global network of relationships and kind of turn back on kind of some of those contacts that you and the team have had for many years. And 2025 is going to be pretty exciting.
It's been good.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to leave comments below. We're keen to get your feedback and make sure that what you want to see is what we're delivering in future episodes. Also, visit the website, srotechnology.com, if you want to learn more about what we're up to. And remember, keep measuring up.